Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so delighted to have you joining me today. Can you all see that first slide up on the screen? Okay, perfect. Excellent, thank you. So I'm so excited to have you joining us today for the UNH Sustainability Institute Sustainability Fellowship Post-Org Info Session. That's a lot to say. And if we haven't met already, I want to introduce myself. My name is Alexis Dwyer. I am the Program and Network Stewardship Coordinator at the UNH Sustainability Institute. A key part of my role is coordinating this program, so I'm really delighted to have you joining us today to talk about the program, how to apply to host a fellow, and what it is like to be a host organization. So with that in mind, here you can see our agenda. We have an introduction, we're going to go over a program overview, and then really excited to hear from past Sustainability Fellowship host orgs today. We'll go over then the RFP, so if you have questions about that application, and then we'll discuss the next steps and have some time for questions. So especially excited to have those two fellowship host mentors with us today to speak about their experience. So we'll have, including talking with them, about 40 minutes, depending on how quickly we go, of material, and then we'll open it up to questions. We have until 1, but we can always end early as well. But before we start, I want to let you know that we are recording the webinar and we'll have it up on our website soon after. So with that, we'll get started. I'm just going to move my Zoom around so I can see you all a little bit better there. Excellent. So getting to know UNH a little bit more. UNH is a national leader in sustainability, and we really just like to share, because some people don't know about this, which is we've been around for over 25 years. So in 2022, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Sustainability Institute. And currently, UNH is super proud of being one of only 8 schools in the US to hold Platinum Stars rating from the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education, or otherwise known as ASHE. And UNH students really drive the sustainability leadership by being involved in the Changemaker Collaborative, which brings together students, faculty, staff, businesses, nonprofits, and government agencies committed to advancing positive change for the good of all. And oftentimes we get asked, what is sustainability all about? So I really hope you guys share this with your friends and colleagues and people who work at different places, because this really is a great question. And UNH really aligns our goals of sustainability with the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, which you see listed here. So we're really working in many different areas and disciplines to advance these goals. And it's helpful to be reminded of this, as it is such a large umbrella, and that really opens up the potential for all the different projects that could take place with a fellowship. So sometimes people are surprised when a project is taking place. We didn't necessarily think of like education as being such a component of sustainability, but we know it really is. So it's not all climate and greenhouse gas work, but we have everything. And we really love to see that breadth and depth of projects that apply. And of course, here today, we're talking about the fellowship. So the fellowship, as you kind of heard me allude to, is all about matching amazing undergraduates and postbaccalaureates with excellent organizations like yours that are doing important work in sustainability. So we set the stage with well thought out and planned projects in a collaborative atmosphere. And in turn, our goal is to build resilient communities in a resilient world. So super brief intro to the program, but we'll go into it a bit further and discuss what sets this opportunity apart. So really what sets the opportunity apart is kind of why we have this info session, so you can understand more about it. So typical internship opportunities are what many of us here may be familiar with. And many times internships are really incredible. We love them. We host other internship opportunities, but a lot of times they are a real benefit to the intern. They get that glimpse of what it's like to work in a professional setting, get to support a couple of projects. But by the end of the summer, many times there is, it is maybe a little bit of a burden to have an intern, but it's a lot of work with not like something big to show for at the end. So maybe what that is really lacking some of the structure where you feel strongly connected to the intern and like you're making an impact for them and they're making that tangible impact for you. So I know I've hosted so many interns in the past, countless interns, and so many times the date would sneak up on me and I couldn't believe it was already time to say goodbye. So internships can be really incredible. We love them, but there's a missed opportunity sometimes if you want to have a bigger impact. So that's really where the fellowship comes in, and we've created it so you can have that bigger impact, right? When I had those interns, they were doing incredible work, but I needed some of that scaffolding and some support on my end to make it a more valuable experience with a tangible impact. So what sets the fellowship program apart is just that you're not just working with a fellow at your organization, but you're part of a bigger program that has multiple additional advantages and assets. So first of all, we designed the project so the fellow can really take ownership and create that high impact. The fellow will take responsibility of the fellowship project, and the project is designed to get something done, which will sustain your organization into the future and creates an impact on the communities and region you are working with. At the end of the summer, fellows will have added value to your organization, and they've had that immersive, high-quality learning experience, and possibly, and we hope, career launching experiences for fellows who are interested in engaging in sustainability careers. And then, of course, the high impact project that benefits the organization and the fellow also means there's advancement in sustainability too. So we're grateful for organizations like your own to partner together to create this triple win, a win for your organization, for students and postdocs, and for the world at large. And here we have a quote from one of our 2022 Sustainably Host orgs. It really is just such a wonderful reflection on what we've been talking about here. So I just love to keep it in this slide deck. So this host org mentor said, "I've been so in awe of the UNHSI fellowship this summer. Although I've supervised host fellows, interns through other programs, this was my first time with UNHSI. The way in which the fellowship fosters community by building structures for mentorship, cross-organizational collaboration between fellows, and team calls is wonderful. I was also impressed by the way that the UNHSI team balances strong organizational structures, the work plan and feedback on that work plan with mindfulness and grace towards nonprofit organizations, NGOs that may already be overwhelmed." So that kind of puts it into a little bit of perspective. To put it into perspective from my experience as well, I actually hosted a fellow prior to coming to the UNH Sustainability Institute, so at a nonprofit. So I really do understand what she's talking about there. And I really saw that design support set apart. So we've already touched on that the fellowship experience is set apart and that the fellow owns the project, that there's a design impact to your organization, training the next generation of sustainability leaders. But I want to step back and highlight the top 3 squares that you see here on the screen. So it's incredible to think the program has been in existence for 17 years. So it started in 2008, and I'm so lucky to be coordinating a program that has had such a deep history and to be able to take on such wonderful structures they've created. But also each summer we reflect and reassess to further define the fellowship program and how to continue to grow and evolve to best meet the needs of host organizations and students. So we're really grateful for those post-assessments that our fellows and mentors submit, and we continue to improve on how we can best provide scaffolding of support to have you led through the summer. And the recruitment component. So you're really designing the project, and then we work together to write an amazing position description. That'll come up in a little bit later in our presentation. But from that, we recruit a highly qualified fellow with those qualifications that are tailored to the needs of your project. So we do this through UNH and our hundreds of contacts in universities and programs across the US to get the best candidates possible. In collaboration, so as a part of the fellowship summer cohort, you are a part of an active network who meets during the spring and summer, meeting up in person at the launch event to continue to grow your network and share resources so that we can together work towards these important goals of the SDGs. So here's a quote from this past summer from a 2024 mentor. So they said, "What an incredible opportunity. I've told so many people about it. For a fellow to have 2 streams of learning at once, the org they're with and the UNH program support community, it's just fabulous and unique. The fellow was a tremendous fit for our organization and threw herself right in. We're so grateful to have been a part of the program. Thank you. So accepted proposals. So if your proposal is accepted, what's next? So this is what will happen in preparation for leading up to the summer, and really is what makes the fellowship so unique and possible, is kind of that lead up work. So with support from UNH, host orgs will write a fellowship project description. We have a template in place of this, and there'll be a lot of information that would come from your project proposal as well. And together we'll finalize your description, and this is what will be used to market your specific project opportunity to those potential applicants. And then UNH markets the fellowship, as already mentioned, to those top undergraduate students at UNH and at UNH and across the US for the post-baccalaureate cohort. So undergrads only from UNH, because we really are setting our undergrads apart to be able to take on these type of projects. And then the post-baccalaureate project cohort comes from UNH across the US. So we'll then review the applications, and we'll only send you the top applications from your review. And once you choose from that group, then you choose who you'd like to interview. And so then together we'll interview top candidates and choose fellows. And around the same time, we look at the projects that we have selected for the summer and coordinate project advisory groups organized around project themes. These project groups are led by advisors with relevant professional experience to support host organizations and fellows before and during the summer. And we're really looking forward to having many more advisors on board this summer. So we'll have even smaller groups for those smaller support to the fellows. And finally, the last step as the summer approaches would be to craft a detailed 10-week work plan for your projects. So once again, we have a template, we have examples of what past projects have looked like. We'll be giving so much support, but this is really where you come up with the best plan for your fellow to accomplish your high impact project, because the summer really flies by. So what does the summer itself look like? We talked about leading up to the summer. So the summer itself, fellows are of course focused on their fellowship project with their host organization. Your fellow will be working day-to-day basis with you while being supported through program activities organized by UNH that they participate in. And those activities are really designed to set the stage for collaborating with other fellows, other projects, other mentors, to offer them support and to help develop their skills throughout the summer. So some of these opportunities are highlighted here. We start the summer off with a 2-day orientation where the fellows get a chance to know one another, the UNH team, as well as the host organizations. The host orgs join for the 2nd day only. And this is an opportunity to learn a bit more about the projects that will be going on during the summer, and will lay the foundation for collaboration as mentioned. And during the summer on a weekly basis, there are a few different activities that will take place. Fellows meet weekly with their small advisory group. This group, as I mentioned earlier, is a small group with the 2 advisors, and it becomes sort of a sounding board for the fellows, a place to work out issues and talk to others about the work they're doing. And each of the advisory groups have the 2 advisors. And we also have alumni webinar series where fellows will get to hear from professionals who are working in the field in different areas of sustainability. And then we have a couple of presentations during the fellowship to make sure the fellows are on track with their work and to showcase their work. So this takes place with the in-person launch event and then the virtual final showcase presentations. And you can see more and learn more about those on our website and in the application as well. So these are just some of the activities that happen in the program side to supplement going along with your fellows project, which of course, as I mentioned, is the main focus of their summer. So this is the exciting part where I get to stop talking and we get to hear from past host org mentors. So today I'm just so delighted to have 2 amazing host organization mentors with us. So many thanks to both of them for joining us to give us a better glimpse into the fellowship host experience. So we have Chuck Hayward from Revision Energy, and Whitman, I don't want to say your last name incorrectly, so I won't, from Low Impact Hydropower Institute. So we'll start with Chuck, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so that maybe even if more people want to turn on their cameras, it's really nice to see everyone. as well as you share a little bit of your experience.
Cool. Thanks, Alexis. Hello, everyone. As Alexis mentioned, my name is Chuck Hayward, and I work for Revision Energy. We are a company based throughout New England, and our mission is to make life better. And we do that through beneficial electrification. So things like solar, electric vehicle charging, heat pumps, and battery storage projects. And I'm part of the commercial electric vehicle charging group here. So um, we decided to host a fellow this past summer. Revision has done it in the past, I believe, but it was the first time for my group to do it this summer. And part of that came through because we had this idea that we've got, this data from EV chargers that we've collected that we is kind of just sitting there, right? And had this idea that we could do something with that to make it more useful, inform future projects, and kind of help us with that stuff. But it was just kind of this idea that never really had anybody to own it, right? So I think that's one of the things that's really helpful about a fellowship like this. Like Alexis said, you do get actual results out of it, and it's a good opportunity to kind of do those projects that maybe have been on your wish list, but haven't had somebody to really champion them and take them over. So that was kind of what motivated us to do this. Thought it would be a good opportunity both for the fellow, but also for us to get this wish list project done for us. So we signed up. We went through the whole, writing the project proposal, and then the recruitment, I think, is really important too. That is, everything Alexis said about finding a great fit for you, a good candidate. We had one that we thought would work well, and then kind of not quite last minute, but pretty close to it. He ended up pulling out because of some other commitments that happened for the summer, and he just couldn't make it. But despite that, we worked with Alexis on the program. We're still able to find, even last minute, another really, really great candidate, qualified candidate. And that was really helpful to have that support too. And like, they know what they're doing to find people that fit. So we ended up having Justin Wanaqueri, who is a PhD economics student at UNH. And he came to us for the summer to help us kind of figure out how we're going to use this data. The idea was that we could use the data to help inform modeling for future EV charging and help people understand kind of the finances of it and whether or not they can actually make money on this if they pay to put it in. So an economics PhD student was perfect for that, right? To help us model all that and use the data. So so we got that lined up, and then I think the other thing too is kind of that project plan that Alexis said. I was a teacher for a number of years before I did this, and I kind of like saw this requirement. I was like, I don't really need to do that. I've structured plenty of projects. That's fine. But it turned out that document was really helpful for me as well, just to think through kind of the steps that the fellow would go through on the summer. And kind of, instead of it being this amorphous project that was like, oh, we just kind of want to do this, think through what does it take to actually get that done if somebody else is going to do it. And I found that really a great exercise for me to sit through and go through and make that. I unexpectedly had to be away for about 2 weeks this summer. And that document turned out to be really helpful for the fellow too, because it gave him a structure to work on, even though, as a mentor, I was away for a little while this summer. So another great part of the program that I think really helps out. I think the experience for the summer, I think the thing I can say most about it is that it's just a whole lot of fun. If you've had the opportunity to be around young people who are either still in school or early in their career, they are fun and inspiring. And, not just the time I spent with Justin with our project, but also the events. There's like the launch event where you go and you get to meet a lot of the fellows. There's a couple of online events where you get to interact with the advisory group, things like that. And every time it's really inspiring and a lot of fun to hang out with this group of students who are also focused on making the future better. And really, it's an awesome opportunity. So I really, really enjoyed that a whole lot. But throughout the summer, it was just kind of working with Justin and kind of setting him up with projects and having lots of communication with him. I also really enjoyed that he came to us not really knowing anything about electric vehicles. So the first day we just showed him some EVs, took him on a tour of chargers, and 2 weeks into it, at the launch event, he's getting questions from the utilities about like, oh, have you considered adding batteries to make these more profitable? And like, within 2 weeks, he's already answering these questions, not even asking me to help him. So, great opportunity for these fellows to learn kind of a new field in lots of instances, but also so rewarding to see that kind of development with somebody and like feel that you can help them do that. So I think that's what I'd say most about the summer is it's just both ways. It's really, really powerful experience. And then the last thing I was going to touch on is kind of the outcomes of this, right? So for us, it turned out to be a really impactful project to have this data. We finished up is just over a month ago, and we're already using the results of the project in the work we're doing now. We have people that we put in commercial chargers with them, and they're considering adding more because of different funding opportunities. And he's like, oh, I don't know if we're making money. Like, I don't know if it's really worth it. And we were able to look at kind of the data set that we had, the data analysis that we had done over the fellowship this summer and help people make decisions like that. We've refined our models to help them understand what it's going to be like. And, it's already really leading to much more productive conversations with our customers to help them understand what can they really expect with EV charging and like what are we seeing in other situations. And so it's been really, really helpful for us. And it's turned into a great tool. And I did just get an email from my fellow that he is actually applying to some energy related jobs now that he's finishing up his PhD. So, came into it, like I said, at the beginning of the summer, not really, energy wasn't really his focus. But now after doing that, he's looking at some jobs that are very much energy focused in New England. So it's, I think it's inspired him to kind of go into a new field and hopefully turns out to be a great career opportunity for him. I will end it there, and I'll be here to answer questions later too. But yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Chuck. I was remiss and forgot to say, if you have any questions now, you can put them in the chat for either Whitman or Chuck, but we'll have questions at the end where you can unmute as well. But feel free to put anything in the chat. Chuck, thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear that your fellow is interested in this field for the future. We need those experts going into it. So that's really such a joy to hear. And I think the work plan, just from my perspective, when I was a mentor, the same thing. I was like, I've had so many interns before. I know how to do this. Like, I've had pretty structured interns too. But when I saw that work plan, I was like, oops, I need to really put some thought into this. And my fellow was traveling. So I was like, oh, I need to make sure that like these meetings are set up in the North Country and for these really big trips, because I don't want it to not happen in the short amount of the summer. It goes by so quickly. But with that, I'll pass it off to Whitman.
Thanks, Alexis. Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay, Alexis? Give me a thumbs up. All right, perfect. Just want to make sure. So I'll apologize. I'm currently traveling, so if there's any weird blips, just we'll chalk it up to New York being New York. So hi, everyone. My name is Whitman Constantino. I work for the Low Impact Hydropower Institute. We're a nonprofit organization that does environmental and social reviews of hydroelectric facilities. So this past summer, we had the pleasure of being a host organization, and I was a mentor for a sustainability fellow. I also had the pleasure back in 2017 of being a fellow myself. And even before that, I was an employee at the Sustainability Institute. I was an intern for a couple of years there. So hoping to bring kind of a unique perspective to the program here. So the project that we had our fellow work on this past summer was kind of a very broad, sort of amorphous project that looked at the role of hydropower in this growing ESG space. So environmental, social, and governance reporting. It's something that's really taking off in other countries around the world. And we wanted to know how it's going to apply to the United States hydropower fleet, and more specifically to those facilities that we have certified as low impact hydropower facilities. And so we had this idea to kind of do things internally. Unfortunately, we just, as a small nonprofit, we didn't have the bandwidth. We didn't have the expertise to really do this project justice. So pulling, my experience with the fellowship program, we sent in a project proposal, which was super easy, and almost immediately, SI was at our doorstep knocking, saying, "Hey, we would love for you to be a part of the program." And from that point on, they were just such an incredible partner, an incredible resource that just supported us and our fellow really from day one. I think what you'll find with this program is, it's highly organized. Everything is laid out for you. There's steps along the way, deadlines that you have to meet. Everything is so well organized, and everyone is so strategically aligned to just be there as a support mechanism for not just the host organizations, but for your fellows as well. It's really all about enriching, these students' experience, and broadening their perspective so they can learn about what it means to be in the workforce. Take a look behind the curtain and see what it's like post grad, what they're going to be getting themselves into. And beyond that, it allows them to really step into a role and own it for themselves. So much of our project in particular was really by our fellow. We knew what we wanted the outcomes to be. We knew, kind of the parameters that we were working in, but we didn't have the expertise to say, this is where you should be looking. These are the resources that you need. Our fellow Louisa was able to come in and help guide us as she was, working with us. And so a lot of that expertise and experience was so needed in our program. And so we, like Alexis was saying, we designed our projects. We set those parameters that we could work under. And instead of having to sit down and sift through hundreds of applications and dozens of interviews, back to us a month or two later, would be, especially suited to this particular project. And they were absolutely right. They really took, kind of our lofty ideals and made them a reality. We had the perfect fellow work with us over the summer. The program was, we were now part of a broader community that was really in their own way trying to address some of the grand challenges that we're seeing in the sustainability field these days. There's all of these drastically different businesses, organizations, agencies, all working towards, their version and their vision of a brighter future. And that's all well supporting the next generation of sustainability professionals. Way to kind of expose the next generation to our particular industry and the energy field at large. But hosting a fellow was something that kind of took all of that one step further. They were able to see the industry, learn more about an industry that they weren't familiar with, but allowed them to take a more targeted approach and really have some set outcomes, some set deliverables at the end of the fellowship.
Whitman, I think we're losing you.
Oh, are you hearing me now, Alexis?
Yes, I can hear you.
Beautiful. Sorry.
Oh no.
Everybody,
I think, Whitman, you keep going in and out. We'll come back to you later at the end.
Okay.
You might be in a
Sounds
better
great.
spot then. Okay.
Happy to take
Perfect.
questions at the end.
Perfect. Thank you. But Whitman really shared so much, and incredible. Thank you so much, Whitman, for sharing all of that. And as you were speaking, I also realized that your fellow was also a PhD student, which is unique. They're not all PhD students, of course, and both of them are international students, which we absolutely love that we're able to take international students on for the fellowship. So you get excellent perspective from them, what they're able to bring to it. So that's a really unique thing. My little my little sidekick here showing up. All right, so thank you so much for both of them. I'm gonna do the Zoom shuffle so I can share my screen again. So hopefully you're seeing that now. So in value perspective, but I hope everyone starts thinking about their questions that you have for Chuck and Whitman, because really this is your time to ask them now. It really is invaluable to ask them some questions from their perspective. And also just think about questions as we continue on with the presentation. I find myself that I live and breathe this so much that sometimes I might skim over something that you really have questions about. So tell me what you're interested in learning more about, and I'll share that with you. So here's another quote from a 2024 mentor. The fellowship has been a wonderful backdrop to host a dedicated research fellow who is very professional and well suited to dig into our topic with us. The program duration went by very quickly, and this will be important to consider in scoping any future projects with the fellow. I really liked this quote because it kind of shares the importance of the work plan, which is it is a 12-week time period that the fellow is actually with you. They're working 400 hours, so you can understand that there's some wiggle room. You know, you have July 4th week in there. Many people take that off. So it really comes down to 10 weeks. And so it's important to consider the scope because it is a short amount of time, but it is 400 hours. So it's like a delicate balance of like, they have a lot of time. They're working solely on this full-time on your project, but also at the same time, it is a summer. So now you have a view, a really big view of what hosting a fellow is like and what can be accomplished in the summer. And so that's why I kind of set that up at the beginning to kind of get us all excited about what the summer looks like, what the spring looks like, everything leading up to it. But let's talk a little bit about the project proposal that Whitman kind of touched on, that it really isn't that difficult. I know it can seem daunting sometimes. There's a lot to read. So I think more than anything, just reading it is important, but your portion of it isn't too much. And good news is after you submit your application, you'll get an email like receipt sort of with your application filled out right there. So it'll be helpful so you can read through it at a later time as well. But the RFP is currently available. So it is on our website. And when you're completing it, the application, you'll be asked to complete and upload a project proposal. So the project proposal document is really what's going to take you the longest time to apply for the fellow. So you can fill it out in advance. It's linked on our website. You'll find it linked within the RFP itself as well. But you can see that it's on our website under apply to host a fellow. So this is where you'll outline and give basics of what the project will be that you're having your fellow work on for the summer. So we can get an idea of what you're looking for. And let's see if this works. Oops, I'm going to chat in the chat for the people who are here live, our website link, but also on the next screen for people who are watching the recording. It's there as well. So if you just search Sustainability Fellowship Partners into Google, UNH, I'm sure it would come up as well, but you can see the link there. So that's the project proposal. We're thinking about that. We're going to think about some of the components of it. So can